For those that didn't know, Legendary Entertainment has signed a first-look deal with Eric Heisserer, the screenwriter behind Arrival and Bird Box. Together with Carmen Lewis, his co-founder at the production company called Chronology, Heisserer will be developing some new IP-driven projects for Legendary. The first one up? A prequel series to the Pacific Rim franchise. For those that need a refresher, Pacific Rim started back in 2013 with a movie directed by Guillermo del Toro, set in a world where massive monsters called Kaiju start attacking Earth through an interdimensional rift in the Pacific Ocean called the Breach. In order to fight monsters, humans built monsters of their own, the gigantic robotic mechas called the Jaegers. This prequel series will likely take us back to the early days, possibly starting around K-Day, which is called Kaiju Day, when the monsters first appeared in San Francisco. We'll probably see humanity's initial attempts to fight them off using conventional and then nuclear weaponry before the Jaeger Program came into play, leveling the battlefield. It should give us a deeper look into the origins of the world we've seen so far. So here in this video we will take a look at the probable storyline as well as the Jaegers and Kaiju that will appear in the upcoming prequel series, which might be released in 2026. Let's get to it. So since it is a prequel, it will likely revolve around the emergence of the Kaiju and the chaos that ensues with their arrival. They might also showcase a bit more on the precursors. Well, who are they? These, in the Pacific Rim universe, are an ancient, highly advanced race responsible for creating Kaiju and opening the breach from their own dimension. They serve as the true villains behind the Kaiju invasion, manipulating events from their own dimension in a bid to terraform Earth for their own needs. It is highly likely that they would touch more on this in the beginning before shifting to Earth and humanity's mundane existence before the coming of the Kaiju. So life would go on as normal, even as whispers of strange occurrences around the Pacific Ocean would circulate. We would then follow various characters, scientists, military personnel, and even everyday citizens who begin to notice something is off, although no one can really pinpoint the danger or foresee the incoming events. But there would be a growing sense of unease as small incidents start piling up, hinting that something big is coming. In the lead up to K-Day, they might show us the initial discovery of the Breach, which is the massive interdimensional portal connecting Earth to the Kaiju's dimension called the Antiverse, maybe first with satellite and sonar detections pointing to an anomaly in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. At first it is thought to be an unusual underwater occurrence, but soon enough researchers would realize that it's far more dangerous. High-level discussions are held but no one acts fast enough, since there is completely nothing logical to do but to observe. This would be the revelation point where the first Kaiju, who would later be named as Trespasser, emerges from the breach. The world would watch in horror as the US military, armed with the best conventional weaponry ever made, struggles to contain the gigantic creature. Trespasser devastates cities along the Pacific coastline, like San Francisco, and more until it is finally brought down with the use of tactical nuclear weapons. Thus the US military's high attrition rate and Pyrrhic victory in this first Kaiju showdown would set the tone for the global panic that would follow. So in the wake of K-Day, which is August 10th, 2013, and over the course of a couple of years, more Kaiju would attack, and this would continue with 3 more Kaiju called Hundun, Kaisef, and Sisha appearing in different areas and in succession. Hundun would attack Manila in the Philippines, Kaisef attacking Mexico, and Sisha attacking Sydney in Australia. Each attack shows how woefully underprepared humanity is, as conventional weapons fail to take these beasts down, with them resorting to tactical nukes to finally kill them. These battles will help develop the international response as nations realize they need to collaborate and come together on a new strategy. Thus, the Kaiju Emergency Alert System and a Pan-Pacific Defense Corps would be finally formed by the combined efforts of all countries that share a coastline with the world's largest ocean, plus with full support from the United Nations. This prequel series storyline would of course dive into the creation of the Jaeger Program, which is humanity's bold response to the Kaiju threat, and if so, they would introduce characters like Dr. Jasper Cohenfeld and Stacker Pentecost, who are both vital for the initiation of the program. But it's not an instant success. The biggest hurdle would be piloting these gigantic machines. It is therefore discovered that no single person would be able to handle the neural load of controlling such a thing, a Jaeger, leading to the concept of a drift compatibility, where 2 pilots must share a mental connection to operate a Jaeger together. The emotional and physical toll of the drift becomes a key conflict, with early pilots struggling to sync up and even die. However, gradually, the story would unfold as they soon discover that certain people could indeed share a connection through the drift and bond, thus giving them the ability to pilot the machines. So on January 2015, enter Brawl the Yukon, humanity's first Jaeger. The construction of this colossal machine is an engineering marvel, representing hope for humanity, but as groundbreaking as it is, no one knows for sure if it will work in actual combat. Brawl the Yukon would become a symbol of humanity's fight for survival, yet the pressure on its pilots is enormous. Brawl the Yukon then gets ready for the test and faces off against a kaiju that would be called Karlov, a terrifying monster that attacks Vancouver in Canada. The battle would thus be brutal and raw, but the Jaeger manages to take down the kaiju, proving that humanity can and will fight back and that the Jaeger program is indeed a success. But it would be seen that one Jaeger isn't enough to protect the entire tens of thousands of kilometers of the Pan-Pacific coastline. Thus, with the success of Brawl the Yukon, the world would rush to build more Jaegers, giving birth to the Mark I class. Along with the Jaegers, massive bases known as Shadow Domes are constructed to house and maintain these titans. This part of the story would delve into the creation of these facilities, the development of new Jaegers, and the training of new classes of Jaeger pilots. The tide would turn in humanity's favor as Jaegers take down more kaiju, including the massive Reckoner. This phase in the series would showcase the evolution of the Jaeger combat, with pilots becoming more skilled and Jaegers improving in design. But even as they rack up victories, there is an underlying tension. Each battle is a reminder that the kaiju are also getting stronger too. So just when it seems that humanity has found its footing, disaster strikes. Victory Alpha, a Mark I class Jaeger, faces off against a new, more powerful kaiju and loses. The Jaeger is destroyed and the pilots are lost, sending shockwaves through the program. This defeat forces the world to rethink their approach, adding weight to the growing realization that the war against the kaiju is far from over. Anyway, that is what the first seasons might focus on. That is, if they stick true to the source material and the canon events without excessive artistic liberties that retcon everything, like what they did with the few recent movies and TV series that we've seen this year. If the show is true to the core, fans would no doubt cling to it, and after a few years, the story would then develop into the downfall of the Jaeger program and the building of the anti-kaiju wall, thus maturing into the very beginning of the events of the first movie. Anyway, here is a list of kaiju and Jaegers that are most likely to appear in the prequel series. Beginning with the kaiju, we should get Trespasser, since it is the very first kaiju to appear, then Hundun, Kaisev, Heisserer and most likely Karlov, and maybe a few smaller ones or new entries to spice things up a bit, and even Reckoner. As for Jaegers, Brawl the Yukon is also a must since it is the very first Jaeger to be built, then Tacit Ronin, Romeo Blue, Cherno Alpha, Coyote Tango, and Horizon Brave, and even the defeated Victory Alpha. So even if not all of them are shown, at least they should be mentioned or seen as blueprints to cement the canonicity of the show. And that's about all we have to say about the upcoming prequel series to Pacific Rim. Now if you like this video, then watch this other one too, and do check out our channel for other Dino Dragon Monster Kaiju content. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the very next video. Take care, fam.